Today, I'm going to be talking about the Venus Optic Laowa probe lens. Stay tuned. All right. I have on hand the Venus Optic Laowa f14 Cine version. I am going to be talking about my experience with this lens. Now, this is a loaner. I'm speaking of solely working by myself. I had made mistakes and I've learned through a couple of more trials that to enhance that use. If you're working by yourself, you're going to have some limitations and some issues that you might come across with if you don't have all the tools to help support this lens. So this is the Cine version. Reason is, and I believe it's because of the ring here. So you should be able to use that with a follow focus. So this cable, the USB Type-C, powers up the front side of this lens when you charge it up into a USB or some kind of portable battery. And then they should turn on the light here when it's traveling. The light turns on and it helps you light the subject in front when it's traveling in dark areas. Okay, so let's talk about the lens. Now, I'm purely just going to be talking about my experience with the lens. I'm not too technical with the lens. I don't own the lens. I have very limited use of the lens. The first issue I have with this lens, it's a very tricky lens to use. I want to let you know that if you get this lens, make sure to have enough time to practice with this lens. Because if you are committed on a project and they want a quick turnaround, and if you're the solo shooter, I wouldn't recommend it unless you get enough time to practice and test it out. Now, if you have an assistant, PA, or someone help focus on this lens, that will make a huge difference. Because if you're trying to operate this on a slider, trying to operate the focus, trying to do some styling, that could be a lot of complications. If you have a team, this will work a lot better and faster. So that is the first mistake I had, is working as a solo user, styling the tabletop, working the lens, working the lighting, and then trying to figure out this focus in between. The second issue I had is when I first started using it, I had a very small monitor. So this monitor is not your high-end monitor. It's just for me to figure out focus. Now, I couldn't even tell the focus very well with this monitor, even though it felt like it was in focus. But because in the end, when I started copying the files, I was seeing a lot of soft focus on this. And then again, I had to turn this footage around real quickly. I wasn't given enough time. I was handing this lens, I'm like, shoot already. I learned utilizing a bigger monitor makes a huge difference, even if you're working by yourself. I used a 20-inch monitor this time around, which I was able to see a lot more clear on my focus points. The third mistake I actually learned is not having enough support for this lens to be able to use it properly. Initially, when I had this lens, I didn't have any type of follow focus behind this, so I ended up just using my fingers to focus, so that would create a little bit of a shake. Okay? And the camera I used was a Sony a7R III, which was sufficient enough. I shot mostly in 4K and sometimes at 120 frames per second. When I got a chance to use the follow focus, this made a huge difference. Okay, so that kind of stepped up a little bit of the focus the second time I used this lens, and that was like about 6 months ago. And yesterday, I was able to use this lens to its full potential using the Rhino Arc 2, and that made the biggest difference of all. The Rhino Arc 2 in combination with this, my God, it's like you're getting such beautiful images. It makes your life so much easier when you're dealing with this and the Rhino Arc 2. All you have to do is plug in the key points in the Rhino and it actually just moves for you. Now, what I was discovering is the distance of the lens. Now, if I'm traveling with the Rhino and this lens, and if I'm going left and right, you get beautiful focus absolutely all the time, right? And beautiful slide. Now, I try to do a little bit diagonal and you still get some great focus. The moment you start using dolly in, dolly out moves is when you really have to practice the most. When I have a 360 Lazy Susan, I was able to get some cool shots as the probe is coming in, and then movement of a 360 of the subject. Now, while shooting food or any type of tabletop, the most important thing about that is styling it. It's very important that if you're working with a probe lens and if you have any kind of cool tabletop shots, style it nicely. Because if the style looks dull, you can see details in the background, and so that kind of be distracting. So fill up the volume, and when people are using this, they're dropping items in the front to keep the audience in tune with the video all the time. Now, if you're just traveling, it's always nice to have all this texture in front. Fill that up with the space. The fourth mistake that I came across is lighting. Yes, they said have enough lighting. I thought I would have enough lighting, but in my first shoot, because it was such a rush job, I didn't bring enough light. But I learned on my second shoot to bring enough lighting, and I was able to achieve that. Now, if you're using a single item subject, which I'm going to show you the sample, create some kind of other movements, such as the Lazy Susan. When this is traveling, have it spin this way. Or if you are on a type of mechanical head or like a Rhino, it can tilt up and down. It could pan left and right. It can even go left and right with the slider. So this gives you more options and different looks for the subject matter. So that makes it interesting. All right, I'm gonna finish it off here. Overall, I think this is a beautiful lens. It is a well-designed lens. It's a very specialized lens. And like I said, if you don't own a lens like this, it's best to put in some time for practice, because you will learn the hard way that you can make mistakes with this lens. And make sure to use big monitors, and then if you have access to such as tools such as mechanical heads and sliders of that nature, use that as well. Use a focus mechanism like a follow focus to help you. And then lighting. Lighting is very critical with this probe lens. So if you have any questions, comment down below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Peace.